Many city governments have turned their back and refused to enforce the laws of the United States of America. And so when we look at this Arizona legislation, which I'm sure all of you have seen, and the visceral, hating reaction that the far left of this country brought to it, we simply ask the question, what is so wrong about empowering our law enforcement to enforce America's laws? And that includes enforcing Americans' laws as it relates to the legality of those individuals to be here in the United States of America. We need to end amnesty cities like those that exist throughout this state and including, obviously, in the largest city in this country. We believe in this Tea Party movement that choice is key to the American success. Now, what's implicit in that name, in that word choice, is really that we believe in the American people. This system, these politicians, this administration that we're fighting does not believe that the American people have the ability to make wise choices for themselves. So when we look at this economy, we start with the fact that we embrace, as I know Carl does, school choice for New York State. Yes. You know, in some respects, I wish we had an opportunity. We haven't had this opportunity yet, but I wish we had the opportunity to ask President Obama a pretty simple question. And that is, why should you, as a millionaire president of the United States, be permitted to spend $60,000 a year to send your children to Sidwell Friends private school in Washington, D.C., so they do not have to attend the worst, flawed, failed public system, one of the worst in this country? That is a right, if it's afforded, Mr. Obama should be afforded every American in this country. We need school choice. We need that now. No parent anywhere in America, and certainly not in New York State, should have to wake up sending their children into a school system that is filled with drugs, filled with violence, and where they're not learning. Give them the right to take those kids out of that school. That is a fundamental civil rights issue of the 21st century. You know, and finally, when you look at this Tea Party movement, you also recognize that we don't believe that the greatness of America is solely the responsibility of the great people of this country. We've been blessed by God. And let's not be bashful and say I don't know why it's become so cliche and so politically incorrect to state what our founders knew was the obvious. And that is, as was written by our founders, that our liberty is endowed to us by our Creator, not by government. The message we send on a federal level to Mr. Obama, the message I know Carl's going to send to Albany is, Mr. Obama, liberal Democrats of Albany, that is not your liberty to take. That is God-given liberty, and it belongs to each American. And also core in this Tea Party movement, as all of you well know, has been a healthy reawakening to the genius of the American Constitution. That document lies at the foundation of all of American greatness, and we should ask this simple question before any legislation is passed on a federal or state level. Is that legislation empowered to government, or is it not, by the Constitution of these United States? Because if it is not empowered under the Constitution, it is not permissible, and that's why we need legislation in Washington, such as the Enumerated Powers Act, that will require our legislators to first justify what specifically permits them to do the things that they're doing. Had we had that in place, there'd be no Obamacare right now, because after speaker has said here correctly tonight, there is nothing in our Constitution that permits our federal government to take resources from people, and to require them to purchase a product that they simply do not want. And the rights of America are on the line right now. Okay? You know, very few countries, and we wake up every day in this free nation and hit the grind, and the alarm clock goes off, and we're driving through traffic, and we're at work, and we're dealing with family obligations. But don't let there be any mistake. There is this concept of American liberty that all of you enjoy and have enjoyed for all of your lives is not enjoyed by the majority of people in this world. It is a unique gift that was fought for and defended generation after generation in this nation, and that cause and that battle now falls to us. And look at what this administration is doing. You can go through every right bestowed onto us as Americans. They are taking it away. They are eroding the First Amendment in this country. They don't want to hear the criticisms and grievances that our founders empowered us to enunciate in their presence. As was said earlier, and I cannot agree further, our Second Amendment rights have been eroded even before this administration, but they're being decimated under this administration and decimated under this governor. That Second Amendment couldn't be more clear, could it not? And that is that we Americans are empowered with the right to keep and bear arms. There is no footnote, there is no caption, there is no maybe sort of kind of, if we feel like it, we are afforded that right. Let me offer some a little bit of tactical guidance, and I tell you, we're wrestling through this every day at a national level in this Tea Party movement, so I know many of you are too. This Tea Party movement's grown so large so quickly that it's sort of understandable that we'd experience some growing pains. I think we're going through some of those right now. But we always have to remember, you know, and I'm up here today from Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy, where Ben Franklin is held in high esteem. I assume he is here too. Franklin warned us we must hang together, or else most assuredly we will hang separately. Our power comes in our size and our unity. This movement must remain unified. We are unified behind Carl. We are unified behind this leadership of this Tea Party movement here in this area, and we are going to fight together, and we are going to hang together or hang separately. Let's make sure that that victory is core to our go-forward agenda. Let me leave you with this. I used to live in this state, in Long Island. I was here on 9/11. I care a lot about New York State. And if you go through the signatories of the Declaration of Independence, you'd find that obviously several signatories from New York State were in Philadelphia that day. One of the favorite quotes I have is from Lewis Morris, who was a New York delegate and signed our Declaration of Independence. He said, and I think it's insightful and relevant for us tonight, that life is act as a verb. Life is act, and not to do is death, he said. This, my friends, is our time to act. Do everything you can to support Carl for governor. Get behind Russ's great leadership in this Tea Party movement. This state is looking for our leadership. They are looking for you to stand up. Do not let them down. And finally, as we move forward, remember, don't allow the pettiest of divisions to drive us apart. We have a great gubernatorial candidate. We have a great message that is resonating with the American people. We have a great local Tea Party movement here. Support that. Commit yourself to it. Offer what you can to it, because we are at a crossroads as a nation. And I don't believe that we're going to sit here 5 or 10 years from now and see the status quo maintained. There are only two outcomes. We will win this battle, or we will lose. Let's make sure we win. Thank you very much, everyone in Western New York, for everything you're doing. Thanks for the honor to be here. I support